Here is a man who has wit. I think there's an elegance of mind. And because of this struggle with speech, he's completely misjudged by everybody.
He's no expectation of being king, but then is forced to become king when his older brother marries the American Wallis Simpson and has to give up the throne.
War with Germany will come, and we will need a king whom we can all stand behind united.
His job is to speak, and if you feel you can't speak, then you're pointless.
If I'm a king, where's my power? Can I form a government? Can I levy a tax? Declare a war? No. And yet I'm the seat of all authority. Why? Because the nation believes that when I speak for them. But I can't speak.
At a time when that is so important, he was a royal example of somebody who was not built that way, was not meant to be in public speaking.
Good afternoon. This is the BBC National Programme and Empire Service, taking you to Wembley Stadium for the closing ceremony of the Empire Exhibition.
You're live in 2 minutes, Your Royal Highness.
This is something that just come in. Every other king in history didn't have to worry about live radio. Every future monarch is going to have the protection of edited and recorded tape. Bertie didn't have that luxury. He just had to sit in front of a live microphone and speak to the entire empire.
Remember, sir, 3 flashes, then steady red means you're live.
It's a great story because it's not just about his speech, it's really about the internal emotional workings that are going on for him that all of us can relate to, I suppose.
Using the new invention of radio, the opening ceremony was the first time His Majesty the King addressed his subjects on the wireless. And today, His Royal Highness the Duke of York will give his inaugural broadcast to the nation and the world.
There's something about this particular story where the reality and the actuality of what went on is so intriguing.
What was your earliest memory?
What on earth do you mean?
Your first recollection?
I'm not here to discuss personal matters.
Well, why are you here then?
Because I bloody well stammer!
Logue discovers quite quickly when he starts to prod Bertie and I think tease him to test his defences, if you like, that Bertie is a match for him.
You have a bit of a temper?
One of my many faults.
When people are embarrassed, it's very common to be flippant about them and to try to deflect them with gags. And in a way, I think both men do that. Lionel more to provoke, and I would say Bertie more to deflect.
When did the defect start?
I've always been this way.
I doubt that.
Don't tell me it's my stammer.
It's my field. I can assure you no infant starts to speak with a stammer.
In any good writing, you get to know a character through their struggles. It's how characters deal with things is what tells us about them.
I have received from His Majesty the King.
And watching him do that has been beautiful, heartbreaking, very powerful, poignant.
Well, please don't do that.
I'm sorry.
I believe sucking smoke into your lungs will kill you.
My physicians say it relaxes the throat.
They're idiots.
They've all been knighted.
Makes it official, then.
I was a profound stammerer as a child, and so the king was a childhood idol of mine. I thought, well, if a king can get over it, with everyone in the world listening to every syllable he utters, maybe there's hope for me.
There's one photograph which I think tells the entire story. He's about to speak publicly in Canberra. He's in full regalia. He's got the sword strapped on his left. And he seems to me, while trying to maintain his dignity, in a rictus of fear. He seems to be absolutely staring into the abyss.
And she is standing next to him. And it's something in her body language that you can just see her talking to him, that she's playing that role. It's that moment of reassurance that you see in the beginning of our film.
Time to go.
Sir?
There was a genuine fear that he wouldn't be able to survive as king, that he would do it so badly that you'd have the abdication with one king stepping down, and within a couple of years the next king steps down because he's not up to it either. So it's difficult to imagine now when we look back, because we think of him as the king who took us through the Second World War, to imagine that there was that vulnerability. And it's through the Logue relationship that you uncover this incredible suspense and tension about whether he could step up to the mark.
Mr. Johnson, do come in.
The great resource discovery gift of this film was to uncover the unpublished Lionel Logue diaries in the first week of pre-production. I can't stress enough what an amazing discovery it was.
The researchers were able to track down his grandson, Mark Logue, and he gave us all of Lionel's diaries to look at, which were just a revelation, because up until then I kept thinking, well, I'll have to invent this guy.
I was told not to sit too close.
I was able to read his original diagnostic notes that he wrote about the very first meeting that he had with the Duke of York, which was invaluable in playing that scene.
Well, I believe when speaking with the prince, one waits for the prince to choose the topic.
Waiting for me to commence a conversation, one can wait rather a long wait.
You know, we set about furiously rewriting the script to make the most of this wonderful material. And, you know, a couple of the best lines in the movie were written by King George VI and Lionel Logue. So, for example, there's a big speech, and Logue turns to the king and says,
You still stammered on the W.
Well, I had to throw in a few, so they knew it was me.
That was last said out loud by King George VI and Lionel Logue.
Lionel Logue was not a doctor. He had no training, formal training. He had no credentials. He was a failed Shakespearean actor and elocutionist from Perth, Australia.
Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this son of York.
Thank you. But the man was a natural healer. He got it. He understood the psychology.
He got into speech therapy because during the First World War, he started to work a lot with soldiers returning to Australia from the front who were suffering shell shock and were kind of locked vocally. And I think he was learning very much by the seat of his pants.
What'll I call you?
Your Royal Highness. Then sir, after that.
It's a little bit formal for here. I prefer names.
Prince Albert, Frederick, Arthur, George.
How about Bertie?
He kind of pioneered an almost psychotherapeutic approach, that he knew the problem was not simply a physical one, that there was something, mostly around the age of 4 or 5, some kind of trauma within the child that creates stammering.
I'll just let that brew. So, when did yours start?
4 or 5.
That's typical.
So I've been told.
This was a culture which didn't really believe in that. The prevailing idea was just, buck your ideas up. If you've got a stammer, just, work at it and get the words out.
I can't remember not doing it.
I can believe that. Do you hesitate when you think?
Don't be ridiculous.
It was the talking cure, but he had the ability to instill confidence in his patients.
I'll be mad King George the Stammerer, who let his people down so badly in their hour of need. What are you doing? Get up! You can't sit there! Get up!
Why not? It's a chair.
No, that is not a chair. That is St. Edward's chair.
People have carved their names on
Listen to me! Listen to me!
Listen to you? By what right?
By divine right, if you must. I'm your king.
No, you're not. You told me so yourself. You said you didn't want it. Why should I waste my time listening to
Because
you?
I have a right to be.
No,
I have a voice!
Yes, you do.